The New Carthaginians is my new poetry collection. It's my second poetry collection, and it has three protagonists, so three characters. So one of them is a poet, which is me. The other is the painter Jean-Michel Basquiat, and I've resurrected him. And the other is a black Icarus who lives in contemporary time, and he hasn't flown too close to the sun. And ultimately what I'm using them all for different reasons. So I'm using Basquiat's paintings to help me tell my story of exile. And I'm using the mythology and other mythologies, particularly of Icarus, a modern version of that, to tell my story. And I'm looking at a point in history. I'm from Uganda originally, a particular 7 days, the Entebbe hijacking, and looking at how that moment in history impacted my life and all the parallel histories. These characters are a representation of the black gaze, but looking at it through an African lens. There are a few, man. I like, there's a Flight. I like the title poem, The New Carthaginian. Like, you know, even when I read it, sometimes they kind of move me. They make me cry sometimes. So I like that one. There's a poem equals pi. Every time I read it, I'm like, I can't believe I wrote it. The codex section is a different kind of register. So it's almost like I went into a kind of a black hole of my thinking. I was like, I didn't even know I was thinking this. So it's kind of, those are good in a way. But as a kind of surreal, just kind of jump off, the final poem. I've never read it. I've only read it once in public, and because usually it was kind of like a musical score. So you know. So when I read it in public, I was like, oh wow, this actually works, because you don't realize if it would work. It's just an experiment with you and your subconscious. I have this ritual that I do as soon as I receive the first copy of my book. So the book comes, you have this kind of well of excitement, and usually what most people do, they want to kind of show the world. I'm not that way. I kind of go inwards. If the family isn't home, I'll read it by myself during the daytime. But if they are home or around, I have to wait till the late night, like everyone's asleep, and then I find a corner in my house, and then I open the book as if it's like contraband, and then I read it in one sitting. But when I read it, like I said, through, I wept. One was, I was like, wow, you did it. Because I didn't know if it would work. It was literally like letting off an explosion. And I didn't know if the explosion would go off. You know, I read it out and it has to move me, right? And I was surprised so much at how it did. And like I remember like reading it, and I was like, because at that point is the first time it actually becomes a book to me. And it's at that point that I become the reader. Before that, I am the creator. Yeah, I am the writer, I am the author, or I'm the conduit through which this book is happening. So you're seeing it from such a different perspective. Even when you're editing it, the closest person drawing you towards the reader is the editor, who a penguin, right? So, and I'd always seen it as an A4 artifact, and then we had to get into book form. So you're even having to let go of this technological relationship that you've had with the thing, with the book, with the manuscript, until it becomes, you know, an artifact. So touching the artifact, then reading the artifact and thinking, does it work? I look back and I read Kingdom of Gravity after that, and then I read The Dark, which is my play. And I was like, you can tell that these people are related, but it just felt like seeing myself as a child, and then seeing myself as a man. It's an honor to be part of the Royal Society of Literature. I guess it means that they've looked at my body of work, which, you know, and they feel that it is of high merit. And I think we can't take for granted the accolade, but also I guess it's also a word of encouragement from the Royal Society of Literature to say, look, we see you, and keep going. And you know, you need those kind of little pep talks, whether they're from establishment or from your family or from your friends, because a lot of times it is just you and the creative space. And so to have it resonate in another orbit is a fantastic thing. I'd been to the British Library, where I'd seen Leonardo da Vinci's Codex, And there you see how he puts all his information down, his ideas, his poems, his thoughts, his understandings of science, of art, of painting, of birds. And I was just like, wow, they just blew me away. And I thought, what if I could put everything I knew about myself, my spiritual self, my historical self, my future self, my, intellectual self, all into one poem, such that anyone who read it says, I know this man. That poem is almost like a good trailer for the whole book. But the whole codex sequence, I think, is kind of like that, because it almost gives you the behind the scenes of what the book is about, or who I am. And because I just wanted a much more intimate connection. And I think it works. And also they're kind of what I call messy sonnets. So they're sonnet in length, but they're kind of these like musical vignettes of my life. When I was reading it as the author. And I was thinking, what are people seeing in this? So then I'm like, oh, of course, I get it, yes. And you see what kind of resonates with, I guess, the judges, and I hope, with the public as well. And I think these poems have access. I realize poems are kind of like, they're like rays of sun. And, like when you notice the sun will enter a room, it means something to you, even though it's just the sun. And I think that poem is like a ray of sun. When I found out I was shortlisted for TSA, I cried. I'm a poet through and through. There are many other things I can do. I am a husband, I'm a father, I'm a man. But at my core, I'm a poet. And so wherever that is recognized, the man in me, the child in me, is grateful. He's one of the best poets, and to be recognized for the biggest prize in this country, that is no mean feat. I think Sarah Howe is one of the best poets of our generation, and that's not just on the poetry front. I think her poetic mind, her intelligence, I think she's probably, I say this without any kind of just trying to boost her. She's the best supervisor you could ever have. She's a force to be reckoned with, and in kind of all forms, like whether she's critiquing your work, whether she's writing her own poems, whether she's giving you advice, just as a soul treading the universe, she's a good person to know. So, yeah, I'm very proud. Soli is a force to be reckoned with. Isabel Baffy, a new writer, amazing. All of them. I'm reading all of them because they're all different registers, all different ages. So and that just tells you that the judges have done their job. So and this is a learning craft. It's not just an ideas craft. It's a learning craft. It's a daily martial art. It's a daily practice. And we are seeing some of. I think in the UK, the evolution of poetry in the UK is amazing. So. I don't even think it's hit its sweet spot. I think there's more to come, and so, and I think, the TSL has always been something to admire, but the last 5 or 10 years, if you don't have those collections in your collection and you call yourself a poet, it's questionable. You know what I mean? I loved it. I didn't think I would. I came in kicking and screaming, because I was scared of what academia was. But it was just totally the opposite. It was like, I'd go to every talk, every lectures, like lectures that were even mine, I'd just sit in. The faculty, I think the English faculty, they were very, I wouldn't just say warm, they really helped me test my work. And also they helped me test my research, because it wasn't just, it wasn't just reading and writing. I was researching Basquiat, traveling around the world, and they were open to ideas. I remember when I did my Viva, that was a crazy one. I've never met two academics so excited about my work. So even that was moving to, because I was like, I don't know if I'll fit into this academic world, but every fear I had was torn down. And I think it just allowed me to grow, and it was what I thought studying would be, in the sense of this space of discovery. I try to encourage as many people to come and do the creative writing program here. I think it's if not the best, one of the best, definitely in the UK. I think a book that moved me so much was Like Water for Chocolate. And it's just the premise of it. It's just the youngest daughter isn't allowed to marry in their tradition. And so she's not allowed to marry the man she loves, and her sister gets to marry him. So the only way she can show love is through the food. And that is almost a metaphor for the artistic practice. One of the ways I show love is through my language, right? So that has resonated with me. And then anything by Toni Morrison, because I think she just shows you what language can do. Derek Walcott's White Egrets, I read that whatever I'm doing. If you told me to write a film, I'd read that. I've caught myself just reading that poem and just thinking, how did he know? How did he know that word? Because it's not, when you, because even today I was reading my own work, I was like, wow, I was getting in, there are rhymes, internal rhymes I'm doing, I'm thinking, how did I hear that? And then you realize it's a musical thing. So you're not just playing with words and you're not trying to be intelligent, you're making music. So when I look at White Egrets, you can hear, he's telling a narrative, but he's telling a narrative musically, and each word is the right word. And I'm like, wow, that is an artist at their finest.